Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to our very first webinar exclusive for the Lunch with Norm community. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. It's great to see everyone. Before we get started, just let us know where you're watching from over in the comment section. And this is a live free training just for you guys. And we're going to be talking about how to sell 50 to 200,000 of dollars of pre-orders before spending $1 on inventory. So we've got a ton of questions that you guys already submitted, so we're going to be addressing those as well. But if there are any questions that you guys want to address right away, and don't want to forget, put them in the comment sections, and we're going to be talking about that later on at the end of the presentation today. So again, this is our free training session for the Lunch with Norm community. We're going to be talking about how to sell $50,000 to $200,000 of pre-orders before spending $1 in inventory, and hope you guys are excited. So before we get started, let us know where you're watching from in the comment sections, and we can get started shortly. So we do have also a giveaway that we'll be doing at the end of the webinar. This will be for a 60-minute private consultation with Norm. So that's anyone who signed up for our on our forum got automatically entered. So we're going to be doing a special giveaway as well. So if you're excited, give us some likes, and yeah, it's going to be great. And I think we'll jump into it. So our guest is an entrepreneur with 13 years background as a brand growth and marketing strategist. Since starting Amazon FBA in 2015, he's mastered crowdfunding and the pre-order launch strategy to launch products and grow brands. He's raised over $7 million in successful launches and broke records with 2 of his launches, both #1 most funded in their niches and ranking in the top 1% of crowdfunding projects of all time. Originally from Canada, now he's a full-time nomad, traveling and living in different countries around the world. I believe he's over in Portugal right now. Please welcome Vance Lee, and welcome, Vance.
Hey, Kelsey. Thank you, man. Thanks for that intro. Thanks for
No
having
problem.
me.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming on. I'm super excited about this, and yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, whenever you're ready. How's everything going over there in Canada?
Oh yeah, great. We're yeah, the weather is still warm, so hopefully we'll keep this going. But yeah, let us know, listeners, how is everything happening with you guys? Where are you guys watching from? What are you excited to learn about today? We're going to be talking about crowdfunding strategies, and yeah, Vance, we can just go right ahead, take it away.
Whenever you're ready.
All
Good to go.
right,
Sure.
awesome.
Let's jump right into it. So, today, well, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Today, we're going to be talking about how to sell pre-orders before spending money on inventory. So, this is a really exciting topic for me because at the end of the day, when it comes to scaling a business, we all want to be able to grow as quickly as possible and eliminate risk and minimize risk as much as possible. So what we're going to talk about today is really going to allow us to be able to do a whole bunch of those things when it comes to our product launches. So that's what we're going to be jumping into today. So let's go to get started. So my name is Vance. I started ecom back in 2015. Originally, I was in the 9-to-5 world in my previous life, but started Amazon FBA in 2015. Had some success with my first product, but had a lot of failures after that in my second year of business, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. But it wasn't always a lot of successes. So experimented a lot, failed, and eventually came across crowdfunding, and that's what Kelsey was mentioning earlier. I discovered crowdfunding as a way to launch products when the traditional Amazon launch approaches were giving me a bit of a tough time. So since then, I've raised over about 7 million in successful launches alone, and broke records of 2 of my loan launches where they've ranked in the top 1% of all crowdfunding projects of all time. So I'd love to talk to you guys today about how we can take advantage of this pre-order launch model to scale your launches. So the biggest challenge right now with e-commerce, especially in Amazon, well, actually e-commerce in general, is that launches are becoming more challenging because of competition, and this is leading the launches to be more risky, more costly. And what this is meaning is that the competitions with the competitors that have big budgets it's causing us to have challenges not only growing but also scaling, and it's creating a lot of uncertainty of what to do to be able to build a sustainable business on Amazon, and even off Amazon. So that's kind of the challenges that we have today as e-commerce sellers. So what are we going to talk about today, and how are we going to address this? So we have two main goals today. The first one is we're going to understand why pre-orders, the use of pre-orders, and we're going to talk specifically about a platform called Kickstarter today, is really the only way to launch your product and build your brand without upfront inventory risk, so without purchasing inventory in advance. And that's going to be really interesting. Yes, the question I usually get is, can you sell on Amazon, Shopify? Yes, you can. That's just going to be the first part of our launch strategy. So the second goal we have today is we're going to talk about the launch accelerator blueprint. This is our strategy for how we're going to be launching, our system for how we're going to be launching, to be able to allow us to not only have a successful launch, but build a community of fans. And we understand of how important it is to have that customer list and people that really, really care about what we're doing when we launch products. So that's what we're going to be covering today, and those are our two goals. So the common FAQs that we usually get, that I usually see, are these three. So the first one is Kickstarter another platform that replaces Amazon or Shopify? And the simple answer is no. Kickstarter is just a launch platform. So when you make use of this is going to be the first part of your launch strategy before scaling on Amazon, before jumping over to Shopify, wherever you choose to launch. The second question was addressed there. Can you launch on Amazon and Shopify afterwards? Yes. Amazon is really just for you to be able to start building momentum. So you have a list of customers, you have all the creative assets, so you're ready to scale your product on whatever platform you choose to launch on afterwards. And final question is, do you need 100% revolutionary product? And does this only work in very, very specific categories? And the answer to that is nope. We've seen successful projects in all types of categories. So those are the common FAQs. So hopefully that addresses a lot of the questions that I've seen before coming into this presentation that was asked in that form. So thank you guys for filling that out, because that gives us an idea of where you guys are at in terms of questions. So in general, this is really a powerful strategy that works for beginners, because beginners, if you're looking to mitigate risk, or you haven't launched your product before and you want to minimize the amount of inventory risk before you launch a product, this is for you. But also, this is actually a really great strategy for advanced sellers who have launched maybe several products or even a dozen products, because this approach allows you to be more profitable, and it allows you to get more cash flow. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in advance, because as you know, if you're an advanced seller and you're launching a lot of products, cash is going to be super important. So it's really important for you to really have a strategy of launching that allows you to have more cash, so you can reinvest, not run out of inventory, and scale faster as you're launching and scaling one product or launching multiple products at the same time. So this is a strategy that works whether you're advanced or you're beginning with selling. So I want to start off with a fun example, because people ask me, what does this work for? What types of products does this work for? This is a really awesome example of a product that we worked with. The company is called By Jing. It's run by a female solo entrepreneur, and really, she's not an e-commerce entrepreneur. So if you're watching this and you've studied e-commerce, you've launched your product, you're way ahead of where she was. She had a product where she wanted to launch this hot sauce, but she had zero e-commerce background or experience in any capacity. So what ended up happening was she wanted to launch this product, no idea what to do, but we ended up suggesting, why don't you take a look at Kickstarter and pre-orders to be able to launch this product? So she launched a single campaign on crowdfunding, and she raised $120,000 with this initial launch. And with this successful launch, she also gained 1,600 buyers and fans, and this set the foundation for a really solid brand for her. So and in this process, she received a lot of positive attention and a lot of positive PR, and that allowed her to take this and build a really powerful brand and business from this. So she created lots of buzz, and she ended up building a following of over 100,000 followers on Instagram, real followers that were really excited about her brand, and continued growing this business everywhere online. So she sells on Amazon. She is, last time we checked, about 200K on Amazon a month for hot sauce. And hot sauce is something that if you've gone to the Chinese grocery store, there's that bottom aisle in the spice section, you'll see this for $1 and $2, but she's selling this for $15 to $20 because of the brand that she's built through this launch. So 200K on Amazon a month. Her Shopify store has over 120,000 monthly visitors. So this is people that are visiting her website off of Amazon. So this is really cool because she's diversifying her different channels. And the other cool part is, because of this successful launch, she was not only able to do well on e-commerce, but she had a lot of people reaching out to her to sell her product wholesale. So she got into Costco, Target, And one of the most difficult ones to get into, if you know about distribution through retail, is Whole Foods. So she got into that and was able to really scale this in lots of different ways. So this is a really fun example of somebody making use of this type of pre-order launch model to be successful, not only on e-commerce and Amazon, but also on retail. So just diversifying the channels, minimizing risk, and really building a strong business that's going to be successful in the long term. So what's the format of today and how are you going to get value? The first thing is we're going to understand how Kickstarter works and how this is going to really change the way that you think about launches, because this really does flip the e-commerce model upside down. And then the second part is we're going to talk about how to execute this using what we call the launch accelerator blueprint. This is really kind of what we're looking to accomplish by this approach that we use to launch products to get pre-orders. So stay until the end, because by the end we'll have a full breakdown of the strategy, how this works, and also we're going to ask we're going to get you to ask questions, anything that you have that you're not certain about or that you're wondering about. We're going to have a Q&A at the end, so you can feel free to ask questions. And we have a few bonuses for you if you stick around until the end. So the best way to take advantage of the next 45 minutes in this presentation is really to think about how this can be applicable to what you're working on. So thinking about how can I apply this to my next launch? How can the strategies that we're talking about today be applicable to what you're looking to launch next, or the product idea that you have in mind? This is usually what we find is the best way to take advantage of this upcoming information that we're going to present to you. So let's go ahead and get started. So part one, let's talk about why pre-orders and why using Kickstarter for pre-orders is going to be really game-changing for you. So the first thing we want to understand is what is Kickstarter and what is crowdfunding. So Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform, and crowdfunding is a bit of a unique e-commerce model that allows customers to purchase your product through pre-orders before before the product is actually manufactured. So what's happening here is that they're ordering your product as a pre-order with the expectation that they're going to get it later on when it's manufactured. And this is really special because we use this as a way to launch our product and to raise funds for initial production order. But at the same time, we use this as a way to start building an audience that allows us to start having people that really care about our product and our brand for when we want to launch later products or accessories or whatever we want to do. And this here is an example of a campaign that we worked with. It's a fountain and pen ink that raised about over $160,000 on Kickstarter when they launched. So this is a private label pen ink, but they've done a really good job with branding, and also the packaging looks really nice as well. So that's a really good example of a cool product that's done really well. So going forward, I'm just going to call this Kickstarter to represent crowdfunding in the pre-order model. But there's two main platforms that's used for crowdfunding, which is Kickstarter and Indiegogo. So they're both pretty credible platforms, and pretty much all of the products that are launched through crowdfunding are used with these two platforms. But going forward, I'm just going to call it Kickstarter for simplicity. So these people are really special because these are shoppers that are wealthy. And we know this because Kickstarter was launched by people that are wanting to support new products and new product concepts. And the idea here is people are paying for a product that doesn't exist yet, that in some situations might not even get delivered. Of course, we're going to deliver our products. That's what we're here for. But these people have disposable income where they can spend $50, $100, even sometimes a couple hundred dollars on a product that has the potential of not getting delivered. So these people are wealthy people that are not just trying to pinch $1 or 50 cents to choose the cheapest product that they can find. These people are generally early adopters. They want to support new projects or new products that are coming out, and they're very excited when they support something to be sharing about this publicly and sharing this with their friends and sharing this on social media. And these are what we call essentially we call them super backers, because these people go on these websites and spend a lot of money on looking for products that they like to support. So why is this model so interesting and favorable for sellers? So this is really interesting for us to dive into, because this allows us to understand why this model could be a much better model for launching, at least at the beginning phases. So we all know how the traditional model works with Amazon or with launching on e-commerce. You start by placing a manufacturing order. You then pay for inventory before getting any orders, and then you get the inventory in stock, and then you can begin selling. And you invest in your launch strategy, whatever it might be, investing in PPC or giveaways and that type of thing. And at the end of it, your goal is to rank and then start to make consistent sales. So that's the traditional model that we all know very well. So how does the Kickstarter pre-order model compare to this? Well, This is very different because it's going to start flipping. You're going to see why this is flipping the e-commerce model upside down. With the Kickstarter model, what we do is we launch a limited time campaign. So I'm going to talk about the timing, but really it's a maximum 60-day campaign that's time limited. So this doesn't stay on Kickstarter forever. It's launched and it finishes after a certain period of time. During this time, the customers can place what we call pre-orders. And this essentially is them saying, hey, yes, I want to support this product. I want to buy this before the end of the campaign. And if you're successful, then at the end of the campaign, let's say it's 60 days, you get paid by Kickstarter within 50 days after the campaign. And then after you get the cash, you place the order with your manufacturer. And then from that, you get your inventory fulfilled, and then you can send that out to your backers. And so this is an example of a towel that ran on Kickstarter that raised over 300,000. And during that period of time, they had over 3,000 customers to support them. So that was a really cool project that did really well. So side by side, this is what it looks like. And you can see why this is going to start changing the way we think about launches, because if you don't have to order inventory first, this kind of opens up a lot of possibilities for what you can do when it comes to considering maybe the category products that you can launch in and what you can do with the cash when you're able to have that extra cash to reinvest into business before investing in the inventory. So what is it that you need to launch on Kickstarter? Well, you need two main things. The first thing is you need a working prototype. So a physical working prototype of your product. So in this example of the towels, you need a towel of the prototype of your towel. And the other thing that you need to launch is your campaign page. So your campaign page would be similar to your product listing page on Amazon. And this is going to be the page that showcases your product so that people can understand why it's going to stand out and why they want to pay attention to it. So the campaign page consists of photo, copy, videos. And the really cool thing about this is that these are the assets you'd normally need for a launch anyways. If you're launching on Amazon, if you're launching on your own Shopify store, you're going to need photos, you're going to need good copy, and you're going to need video. Some people would argue the video part, but nowadays I think it's really important to have high quality video if you're going to do ads or just showcase your product in a unique way. So you're going to need the things you need for a traditional launch anyways, so that you can actually prepare this for the launch and then later on make use of that when you decide to launch on your other platform. What you don't need, and this is where all the advantage comes with this type of model, is that you don't need to have inventory in stock. So this is what's going to really change the game for us here. So why is this a better launch strategy? There's lots of reasons, but I've identified the 5 main reasons why a lot of people are really excited to use crowdfunding and Kickstarter as a initial launch model. So we're going to go through each of these individually, and so you have an idea of why people are considering and why people are starting to move to using pre-order launches. So the first 2 are related to money and finances. So I'm gonna jump to these 2 are very much related. So the first one is what we've talked about, how it flips the model of e-commerce a little bit upside down and eliminates risk. So with the traditional Amazon launches, we invest a significant amount of investment to the initial inventory, which is a massive chunk of it, and then your launch strategy. And with this model, your launch may or may not be successful. But with the approach that we take to launching on Kickstarter, the lab approach, launches, you can launch and sell pre-orders right away with just having a prototype. And with this approach, you're eliminating the inventory risk and you're getting guaranteed pre-orders before you invest your first dollar into purchasing inventory, which is really powerful. Of course, you need that prototype that we talked about, but you don't need to be purchasing 2,000 or 3,000 units to get started. You just need to have that prototype ready. So this is really flipping the e-commerce model upside down and really minimizing and eliminating the risk of inventory. The second one related to this is this allows you to be profitable and cash flow positive when you launch right away. So with traditional e-commerce launches and Amazon launches, you notice that they're very costly and launches are never profitable. They're mostly seen as a sunk cost where eventually at some point you recover the cost when you become profitable, and then you kind of pay back the initial investment in the initial launch. And I mean, sometimes this can take for some people months, some people like over a year, or maybe even longer than that, depending on how profitable your product is. So this is a very cash flow poor model, and this is a lot of the reasons why some of my products failed, but a lot of people that are launching successful products that are even doing well, they fail because of lack of cash flow. So why? What's the alternative? Well, the lab Kickstarter launch approach, what we do is we launch with our campaign, and if we're successful, then you're profitable right away because you get the cash before you invest in inventory, and because you're collecting the pre-orders and cash first, you're cash flow positive, so you can maybe decide to invest in more inventory more than you sold, you might be able to invest this in other initiatives in your business, but you get that cash so you can decide what you want to do with it. So these are the two reasons why financially this type of model is very, very favorable. So next, why else are we interested in this model? Well, the next reason is not so obvious, but we're starting to really see the impact of this with a lot of e-commerce and Amazon sellers. So the second reason is building a list of ready-to-buy fans and a long-term sustainable brand. So the reason why it's difficult to build a brand off Amazon alone is, all of you know this already, is because your buyers are Amazon's customers. So you don't get access to their emails. You have to go about all these interesting roundabout ways to try to get instant cards or get them to opt into different things where you can get their emails. This is because Amazon doesn't want you to have access to their customers. And so what this means is it makes it really difficult to launch new products and scale your brand, because if you're launching your first product or your second product and you don't have the customers from your first product that bought, it makes it really difficult for you to scale your products fast and your brand fast. So this also really does limit the potential value of your business. And what I want to talk about here is, when you actually have access to a list of customers, this is really going to change the game for you, because if you're able to communicate with your customers directly, you're going to be able to get them excited about when you're launching new products, when you're launching accessories. So our first product was this Arctic cold brew system that you see at the top here. So this was our very first campaign that raised almost about $1 million through the two platforms, and with upsells. And with our second campaign, with our coffee product launches, our launch, and we saw these people not only were able to help us with giving us ideas for the product launch and kind of being involved in this as fans for our brand, but they were actually able to support the launch when we decided to launch. So when we launched our second Kickstarter campaign through the coffee brand that we have, we raised about $230,000. But the interesting thing to take a look at here is that out of that 200,000, about 40,000 dollars of this funds raised came from existing customers from our first Kickstarter campaign. So about 5%. It doesn't sound like a very high number, but it's really awesome to be able to know that if you can launch and you have a new product, that you have customers that are excited about your products in the past, they come in and they say, yes, I'm ready to support this one. That sales from your existing customers is really, really, really awesome, compared to having to go in a hole by investing in launch strategies that are not targeted towards your existing customers. So this is how we start to grow a brand. If we launch accessory 3 or product 4 or product 5, this allows us to be able to really make use of these fans to be able to grow our brand and create a sustainable business in the long term. The next benefit is traditional launches on Amazon. If you look at having a successful business on Amazon, you might be a high-ranking product in certain keywords. You might have a lot of reviews, but successful launches doesn't produce any recognition off Amazon, because people only see you when they're on Amazon and searching specific keywords. If you have a successful launch using our approach with Kickstarter, having a successful campaign really has a lot of people pick up this, the buzz from that success. So with our Arctic cold brew coffee launch, we had a lot of people pick up this, write articles about it, share about it, and we had a lot of people just kind of write blog articles that wanted to feature this because of them being in that niche and thought it was really cool. So this is a really great way to start building credibility off platform, and that allows you to have an opportunity to build to e-commerce, maybe on Shopify, or even look at alternative platforms that are selling online, but also potentially retail as well. So, and I'll talk about that in the next benefit. But this is really cool because it allows you to start really building a real presence off of a platform like Amazon. And the last thing is, well, if you're successful on Amazon, you are going to generate more sales on Amazon. But if you create a successful campaign, what happens is this allows you to start creating different types of opportunities to scale your business in a way that's more diversified. So with our example, our most recent coffee launch was our Vance Lee glasses. And we had a lot of people that were contacting us as a result of seeing our successful campaign that wanted to carry our product and distribute our product in different countries. So you'll see here that there's some Instagram accounts for Korea, Japan. These are our distributors that buy our product from us and start selling it to coffee shops and specialty retailers and gift shops in those countries. And so right now we're at about 15 different countries. But this wouldn't have really happened if we were just selling on a platform that's, for example, just on our website or on Amazon. This allowed us to open up a lot of opportunities where people found out about us and wanted to start sharing our product with other people and purchasing our product. So it leads to other interesting opportunities that can come up that are above and beyond just selling on a single platform. So that's a really, really cool benefit of being able to take advantage of this type of approach. So I want you to take a look at these 5 benefits and drop in the chat either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 about which which benefit do you think is the most exciting for you, or which is the most interesting for you? I'd love to hear from what you guys think. So just drop a number 1 through 5, and we'll take a look at those later. Maybe we can address some questions about them later if you have those as well. But we only scratched the surface. There's a lot of other benefits that I don't want to really get into today. For example, if you're launching a new product that isn't validated, for example, you have a cool product concept, instead of ordering a couple thousand units and having to sell this just by investing all that up front, you might be able to just go through this launch process and validate it with just a prototype alone. So there's a lot of other cool benefits of using this pre-order launch model, but we won't go into those today. That will be for another conversation if you guys have questions about that. So now that we know why this is a really awesome approach and pre-orders can have a lot of benefits to our product launches, let's talk about our lab strategy. So our launch accelerator blueprint strategy of how to execute this type of launch. So this background will help you guys a little bit. I started off with Amazon FBA. I'm still an Amazon FBA seller, so nothing against Amazon. I love the platform. But my biggest learning lesson in starting FBA in 2015 was that, first of all, my first product was a success. I had a successful product that was doing very well on Amazon. So I decided the next year that I was going to be really aggressive and launch 12 products the following year. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't really understand cash flow that much, so it was actually very early in my e-commerce career. But the spoiler is a lot of my products in that year that I launched eventually failed. But during that process, really, I discovered a few main challenges. And the main challenge was that there was no reliable launch strategy that allowed me to be cash flow positive. Cash was a really big issue. I kept running out of inventory. I kept having to want to replenish inventory, but it was selling out and I didn't have the cash available to reinvest in it. So this was a massive issue for me. But the other issue was that I wasn't really building a recognizable brand. So my categories at the time was in kitchen. I launched in coffee. I launched in gifts. And really launching an additional kitchen product, my next kitchen product that I launched wasn't more favorable for me because the customers didn't know that that product belonged to me. They didn't really know anything about my brand. So launching products back, even my fourth kitchen product had no benefit because people didn't know anything about my brand at all. So that was a huge issue. And we talked about how that could be addressed if you actually had access to communicating with your customers. But that was the two biggest issues that was stopping me from scaling a successful brand. So eventually, that led me to losing quite a bit of money in the next 12 months of my business. And 10 of those 12 products failed. But I was really lucky because along the way, I discovered crowdfunding. And this is what allowed me to launch really a few successful products, but eventually I started helping other people with their launches, mostly just friends in the industry that said, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And after that, we helped quite a few people with their launches. And eventually we started doing this kind of at a bigger capacity. And we've raised over 7 million in successful launches through our processes using the lab. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, is the Launch Accelerator Blueprint process that we use for our launches. So what does this look like? There's 6 main steps, and we're going to go through these individually one by one. And the idea here is to give you kind of a high overview into what it takes to launch a successful product on Kickstarter. So the first one I'm going to spend the most time on because I think this is the most important question that addresses a lot of initial questions that a lot of people will have about launching a product on Kickstarter. And so the first step is to determine why your product is going to be standing out. Because if we're going to launch on Kickstarter, we need a reason why people are going to be purchasing our product on the Kickstarter platform. The important thing here is that we don't need to create something that's 100% unique and 100% new products. In fact, a lot of the products on Kickstarter are variations or slight improvements or modifications on existing products, but we do need what we call this kind of unique positioning for a product. And this is a really good example of a product that I was eyeing in the kitchenware category when I first went into Amazon, was a cocktail shaker. So this cocktail shaker was positioned as a high-end elevated cocktail shaker. These guys did about 470,000 on their launch on Kickstarter. So again, I mentioned this earlier, works for all types of niches. These are a few projects that we've worked with in the apparel niche, stationery, fashion, and beauty niches, kitchen, lots of niches this works for. But what we're looking to learn here is how can we position our products to be successful? And we have this framework that we use called the Edges framework. So we're going to go through a few examples, and you're going to get a lot of practical kind of an idea of how to execute this. But we have 3 main levels of difficulty when it comes to these edges, and that's associated with 4 different edges that I'm going to talk about as I go through each of them. So the first edge is what we call product positioning. So this is the easiest level, and it's the easiest level because we don't need to do anything with the product. All we need to do is change the way the product is being presented. So what we do with product positioning is we're changing the way that we talk about the product concept or the idea, or we're changing the way that we talk about the benefits and the feature in a way that people get really, really excited about it. So that's what we're looking to do here. So this is an example. Another category that I never got into at the beginning, but I was highly, highly invested in researching this category, was the travel category. So travel packing cubes, if you've ever seen this on Amazon, is dozens of pages of travel packing cubes. But what these guys did was they really kind of, there's a lot of packing cubes that have this 2-sided design where on one side, there's a pouch, and then on the other side, there's a pouch. What these guys did was they positioned this in a really unique way. They took this and said, okay, well, there's 2 pouches. One side is for clean clothes, and the other side is for dirty clothes. So they focused on this. They also focused on saving 40% space. It's 40% of the space of being compressed in terms of fitting into your luggage. So they did this. They did a great job with this, and they ended up raising about 280,000 on Kickstarter. This is another one of my favorite examples. These guys did a blackout curtain. So blackout curtains, obviously not a new product, but what these guys did was they positioned this blackout curtain as a portable blackout curtain. So a lot of people do want to move their blackout curtains around. So they've done a really good job at nailing this target audience. And so they ended up raising about 290,000 on Kickstarter. This one is a really good example of another way of positioning the product differently. This type of method is about presenting the product to a different audience and positioning it to a new audience. So these ones, this campaign was called After Socks, and this product is actually the no-shoe socks. You might have seen this for people hiking and kind of into the outdoors. These guys did something really interesting. They took this product and kind of presented it to a different audience, which was the female audience, and they called it After Socks for women that are going out after wearing heels, and they don't want to wear the heels afterwards. They would just put on these socks, and they can wear them after going out. So this is a really cool presentation. These guys did about 90,000 euros, which is really cool. And another one, this is my favorite example of all time about positioning. These guys took a desk toy. It's a wooden desk egg, and they presented it as a meditation tool. They called it the Zen egg, and it's about making time for yourself, meditating with this egg. And it's a desk toy that people use as kind of a reminder to meditate and stay in the moment. And these guys raised over 100,000 with this. I love this as a great example of positioning. This could have easily just been a paperweight or a decoration piece, but they did a really good job at presenting this as a really cool meditation tool that they presented and positioned in front of that audience, and they obviously liked it because this was a very successful product. So the next level of difficulty is what we call medium, and this contains edge 2 and edge 3. So edge 2 is about changing the materials. So it's either changing or upgrading your materials, or changing and the design, so the way that the product looks without changing the functionality. So this makes it a little bit easier to do. So a lot of products on Amazon, a lot of private label products go in this direction. This is one of my favorite examples in this category based on materials. So these guys took chopsticks, which is it's a several thousand-year-old product, and they turned wooden chopsticks into titanium chopsticks. And they position this, and by the way, you can combine different edges to make things stand out. But these guys position this as aerospace grade titanium chopsticks. Really cool example of turning a very, very common product into something that's cool by changing the material and positioning as something interesting. I don't really even know what aerospace grade titanium means, but they've done a good job here. And obviously a lot of people were interested, so they raised over 270,000 with this launch. This is a client that we worked with who really did a good job at taking an existing category of products. So these were travel towels, and they changed the material into bamboo cotton. And they did a little bit of a aesthetic design change. They had this really nice looking pouch, but the idea here was they just took an existing product, improved the materials, and made it look really cool. And these guys raised over 200,000 on Kickstarter. Another example, you can tell I love the travel category. These guys did a combination of a few different things here. They took travel packing cubes and they made them look sexier. They made the material stronger and more durable. And they did Edge 3, which is adding a bit of a functional upgrade. And so this, with these guys, their functional upgrade was just a combination, bundling a handful of these products together, and they made the 7-piece smart packing cube set, which is a combination of all of these edges that we talked about here, and they raised over 280,000 on Kickstarter. And one last one in this category, because I like this category. This is like a folio case. It's something that you put paper in, and these guys did a good job at making it look nice. They changed the material on the outside, so it looks really appealing. But what they did was they combined this with Edge 1 and positioned this to entrepreneurs or people that are related to being visionaries, and they called this a visionary portfolio case, and this raised $70,000 in Kickstarter. So really love kind of like these simple upgrades in this medium level, which allows you to modify it a little bit. But really the idea here is to create something different that's going to be positioned to an audience that's going to care about it. And this is a really good example of that. And the final one, this is the hard level. So Edge 4 is about advanced functional upgrades. So the advanced functional upgrade is not something we recommend if you haven't created a unique product before. But the idea here is you're going to creating something that's different, that's going to really change the way the product is being used. So I won't spend too much time on this, but this was a collapsible cutlery set that you can kind of put together, and you can put a fork on it or a knife on it or a spoon on it. These guys did over €1 million with this launch, and it was just a really, really awesome launch. Another one that I really like, because I'm a plant nerd, is this is called the Terra Planter, and it allowed you to plant in a really beautiful way plants on the outside of this planter. So these guys raised over 6 million, crazy product. But this is an example of the kind of cool products that you would be able to launch if you had an interesting idea and an interesting concept that you wanted to validate through Kickstarter. So apart from getting a product that's going to stand out, what's next? The next thing is we're going to create our campaign. And again, our campaign is going to be the thing that sells the product that we're going to be presenting in front of this audience. So what do you need for your campaign? You need 3 key brand assets. The first one is you need the photos, of course, high quality photos. You'll need high quality copy, and you'll need a campaign video which shows your product in action. So this is going to be really important, because this is what's going to allow you to represent your product in a way that makes people feel really excited about it. So at the end of the day, this is really cool, because the stuff that you need to launch your product on Amazon or Shopify, you would be creating these things for the Kickstarter launch for your campaign page. So these are the things you'll reuse on your Amazon product listing page, on your Shopify, your Shopify product page. This is not something you're doing extra, but you're just doing it at a different time. So these are things you'll be doing anyways. And at the end of the day, if you create good assets, you'll use this on your social media, you'll use this in your ad campaigns, you'll use this on, if PR people want to feature your product, you can send them your assets. This is really going to be what you need for your campaign page. But the good news is all of these assets are going to be helpful for other aspects of your business as you grow your brand. And the second thing, as you're creating your campaign, is you really want to make sure that you do 2 things. The first thing is you need to set your funding goal. Generally, we recommend keeping our funding goal less than $30,000. Between $10,000 to $30,000 is that optimal range, depending on kind of what you actually need to be able to launch that product. If you need this, specifically, you need the funds to launch. And then the campaign duration is up to 60 days, like I mentioned earlier, but we generally recommend that campaigns do the best within the 30 to 45-day campaign timeframe. Next is really important to build your list and build your audience. So this is, I don't want to go into too much detail about why this is important. I assume a lot of you know why it's important to be able to access our customers. But the biggest the biggest deal with having access to your customers is because if you are able to directly contact your customers, you're able to communicate with them and tell them you have a product launching. You're able to tell them, hey, we have a promotion, or we're launching on Amazon and we're launching a new product. Can you purchase this product and we're going to give you a discount? So accessing your audience and communicating with them is a big deal, but also being able to extend the lifetime value of your customer is a massive deal. And it's something that we can't necessarily do on Amazon, because once they buy and that's it. But if they're on our email list, if they buy our first product and it's $40 and we spent $10 to acquire them, we make a $30 profit. But if we end up selling them another product that's $100 because they're on our email list, and another product that's $50, these people are going to have spent $200. And in that situation, the $10 acquisition cost is going to lead to $190 of profit in that example. And so building your list is super important for many reasons, but those are the important ones that you're going to be concerned about at this stage if you're looking to build an audience for your launch. So two main categories of people that we want to build in our list. And this is going to be depending on your product category, but we like to build a list of what we call ideal future customers, so IFCs for short, and influencers. So I'm going to talk about both these very briefly. The first one is ideal future customers. And these are the people that are eventually going to be purchasing your product and just engaging with your brand because they like what you're selling. So the important question to ask about this is where are these people hanging out? So there's free approaches, there's paid approaches to this, there's free approaches that we recommend usually starting with. But the idea here is we want to engage with these people in the places that they hang out. So you might be engaging in your audience might be engaging in Facebook groups. Maybe they're engaging in Reddit communities, and the idea, or maybe even if you let's say you're doing something to do with like tennis, you might have even like a real live meetup group in your local city that you can start engaging with these customers in. So lots of different possibilities, but the important thing is to understand where these people are hanging out and where you can engage with them to get them excited about your type of product. And usually we engage these people by asking them some questions about, hey, what do you like about this product category? Would you be interested in a product that did XYZ for dogs? And this is not only going to allow you to build relationships with people, but it actually gives you valuable feedback in this early stage to allow you to kind of validate if this product is going to be something that people want. And, if they do want it, how do they want it? What are the most important features to them? What's really appealing in terms of benefits of the product that makes them want to pay a little bit more? Maybe you choose to invest in that. So all these types of things are really powerful because you start connecting with your audience in advance, building that list and building an audience of people that really care about your product and your brand eventually. The next category is influencers. So there's, influencers are not just people that are on Instagram sharing travel photos or fashion photos, but we actually have 5 main categories of influencers that we choose to work with. And depending on your product and depending what you need for your launch, you might access some different categories of influencers. So for us in specific, with our coffee glasses, were designed to make coffee smell and taste better. Sounds a little bit wonky, but actually works. But we needed a lot of influencers and people that were credible in the coffee space to tell us or to say, yes, this product actually does work. So we took advantage of what we call industry experts, and that allowed us to really build credibility with this product that was necessary for this product to be successful. But there's also lots of other categories of influencers that are administrators of different communities that you can access that have really big lists, or even people that are making content. Maybe they're making YouTube videos or they're writing blog posts. Those might be interesting people that are that would be a good allies for you to have for your launch. So the important thing to consider with influencers, it's not just about the highest number of followers. What we're looking really at with influencers is the right type of influencer that has access to the audience that's going to be interested in your product. So it's not just that they have 1 million random followers, it's that they maybe have 50,000 followers of people that really love dog toys. And that would be an interesting person for you to connect with if you're launching a dog product, rather than somebody with 5 million followers and just kind of interested in fashion or just like a general lifestyle influencer. So that's really important to keep in touch, keep in mind when we're looking at building our list with people that care about what we're going to be doing when we launch. Next, with Kickstarter, it's important that we launch strong. So it's very similar to the Amazon algorithm. We want to take advantage of launching very, very powerfully within the first 24 to 48 hours. We usually want to hit our goal within that time, which allows us to really get picked up by the algorithm. And what happens here is the list that we built and the audience we built, we're going to leverage them. We're going to get them really excited, and we're going to get them to jump in to purchase and support us during that first period of time. So for us, we hit our funding goal within about 12 hours, less than 12 hours. And it was really, really quick because we had an audience of people that were already very excited. And that allowed us to have really, really good momentum within the Kickstarter platform. Next, when it comes to launch, you also want to be able to take advantage of PR. So this is optional, but it's highly recommended, because if you're able to get other people to feature you or to share about your product, often a lot of these came organically, but you might have to do some outreach to be able to get people excited about featuring your product. If it's in the coffee niche, for example, reaching out to some coffee blogs and people that are talking about coffee can drive a lot of traffic to your campaign, and not only sales for the campaign, but people that wrote these articles will remain on the internet forever. So this is going to give you credibility for your product as as you grow your brand, as you expand, as you want to launch new products. People are going to be able to search this and find that you're a credible company. And finally, leverage your community. So people that buy your product or people that support your campaign, when you launch, you can immediately get in touch with them. So unlike Amazon, where they're hiding the information of being able to communicate with your customers, here right away you can communicate with your customers. And these people are your customers now. You can make use of them to say, hey, would you mind sharing this with some friends? Do you want to share about this in social media? And we love doing this because right away, once you engage with them, these people, because they're excited about what you're doing, they're excited to share immediately with whoever they want to share with. Maybe it's on social media. Maybe they want to share this with their best friend that's also into dogs. Whatever it is, these are highly engaged people. So this is a really great opportunity for you to engage with them and have creative ways, for example, running contests or giveaways to encourage them to share. And this could really help to scale your results during your launch as well. And after the campaign, what's going to be really important is, of course, you've made the sales, you've made the orders. Now you want to fulfill the orders. So after the campaign, like I mentioned earlier, you get your payment, you get your money from Kickstarter within the next 15 days. So after that, you can place your order with your manufacturer, and you can go ahead and start. You can do a few things. So I'll talk about what to do afterwards. But what you can do is actually you can continue selling. So we talked about the two platforms earlier with Kickstarter and Indiegogo. So with Indiegogo, this is another platform that Kickstarter allows you to, after Kickstarter, you can actually just move your pre-orders continuing to sell on Indiegogo. So with our Vance Lee coffee glass launch, we did about 220,000 on Kickstarter, and then we moved it over to Indiegogo, and we continued to sell almost another 100,000, about 90,000 on Indiegogo. So it's another way for you to continue selling pre-orders even before you get your inventory from your manufacturer. And so that's really awesome. We see a lot of different results from people being able to continue to scale the results and get pre-orders even before the inventory hits the warehouses. And of course, at the end of the day, we really want to make sure we deliver on our promise, because these are our customers now. It's important for us to honor our commitment to our customer and deliver that so they're going to be happy with us. And finally, this is perhaps one of the most important parts. The main event of a campaign is not necessarily during the campaign or the sales, but it's about what you do after the campaign, because really, the Kickstarter is a launch strategy, and you want to move your business to maybe perhaps Amazon, maybe your own website, maybe other channels. But what's going to be really important is that you start establishing your brand as a credible brand. So what we like to do at these phases is that you start doing things like getting what we call user-generated content. And user-generated content is just essentially getting people like your customers to do unboxing videos, to take photos and post them on social media, maybe review videos and post them on YouTube. We love this kind of stuff because this allows us to start using this content on our websites, like in our emails, like in promotions and ads. This is really awesome. And to this day, with our brand, several years after we've launched our campaigns, we get on average 1 to 5 posts on Instagram with people willingly sharing about our products and our glasses and our coffee products on a regular basis. So this is like free exposure when they're sharing to their audience. And if we encourage this and we create this as a part of our brand that people get excited about, this is extremely valuable to our brand when we're able to get organic traffic from social media platforms like Instagram or TikTok or wherever your audience likes to hang out, this is going to be super powerful for you. So take advantage of your customers and start using this as a way to building the foundations for your brand so that you can start launching new products. So you can even engage with them to ask what product you want to see next, because now these are your customers and you have access to them. It's your opportunity to engage with them to really build a relationship. So this is really where building a real brand comes in a way that's going to be really exciting for a lot of you when you're considering how to build a sustainable business. So that's one of the most important parts. So um, that's it for the lab approach. And I want to walk through a few case studies for you to kind of see what is possible with this type of approach. So this is going to be really exciting because we follow a lot of campaigns on a regular basis, and we can see how lots of companies have evolved over time. So this is going to give you an idea of what you might be able to accomplish in some capacity, and at least be inspired to see kind of what is possible. So this is maybe kind of like the best role model of people making use of the Kickstarter launch pre-order approach. So this is one guy that started in his basement. He launched one campaign. I think this was about maybe 9 years ago. He launched his camera strap clip. He was literally one guy out of his basement. He launched a successful campaign, and he got a lot of people excited about it. And since then, he's launched product after product after product after product, and he launches about one or two products every year. And every time he's grown his audience to a bigger audience that continue to support his stuff. And I know this because I'm one of his customers. I've bought like 4 or 5 products from him already. He is now a massive company. So 10 campaigns, started with a tinier campaign and grew into big 7-figure campaigns. He launched accessories, and then he moved on to camera bags and camera pouches. Then he moved on to travel packing stuff and another version of his clip. And then most recently, he launched a tripod and some mobile phone accessories as well. So overall, he's raised over $33 million on crowdfunding. So this is like one of those crazy examples. But the idea now is this guy went from guy in his basement to competing with some of the biggest camera accessory brands in the entire world. And now he's selling on Amazon, massive traffic to his own website, and he has global retail distribution in every country that you can imagine. So this is massive. And in 2019, he did a podcast interview where he said he was doing $65 to $70 million, and his website is just loaded with traffic because people just love his brand. So this is an extreme example of what's possible. But the idea here is all the same principles: building an audience, building products that your audience likes because this is what they're telling you they like, and continuing to use this as a way to scale your brand and launch new products. Here's another example, a little bit of a smaller example. These guys are called Better Back, and they make these back braces and back straps that allow you to have better posture. These guys launched 3 campaigns. Their first product, the second version, and a backpack for people walking. They did about $3 million on these 3 campaigns, and had a lot of fans that they gathered from these campaigns. So almost about 50,000 fans. But what they ended up doing was they were selling on Amazon, their own website. They brought this to Shark Tank to say, hey, I got all these pre-orders even before my product went live. Are you willing to invest in my company? I don't remember if it went through, but on the show, Barbara Cochran was the one that invested with their company. They got a lot of press around this, and they ended up doing pretty well. So they did really good. So they took advantage of this opportunity to really scale into a different medium of selling. So this is another example. I don't want you to have to think all campaigns have to be $1 million campaigns or even in the 6 figures. This is a smaller company called Treat a Tub. I know them very well. They're in the health and beauty category, which is a very competitive category. But what they did was they just launched a single campaign. And they launched this campaign that had 800 customers and $40,000 raised. And what they did was they took this to Amazon. They took this and selling it on their own website, and they're selling on a bunch of online third-party retailers as well. And they went from a small bootstrap company with 2 founders to this really super competitive niche of skincare, to being able to grow to a massive team now of 25 team members, and doing, last time we spoke to them, $300K on Amazon, $300K off Amazon. I think it's probably more than that now. But the idea here is using that to build the initial fan base and then scaling into the platforms that they want to be selling on. So really cool to kind of see companies make use of this type of model to be successful in the way that they want to be, in the channels that they want to be at. So that's it for now. And I know this is a lot of information, so we're going to have a Q&A in a few seconds. But let's Kelsey, if it's okay with you, we can talk about some of the bonuses, and then we can jump into Q&A. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. So as promised, you've stuck around to this point. So we're going to offer you a few bonuses for making it here. And then we're going to go into the Q&A. So the first bonus is what we call the Launch Hacker resources. So if you're interested in the crowdfunding model, if you're interested in pre-orders and you think this is something that could be valuable for you in terms of your next product launch, or you're considering a new product and you think this can be applicable, 100% free resources. There's going to be a 3-part training video series and a few guides and checklists that you can use to kind of explore this. So I'm going to give you the link in a few seconds that you can use to grab this, but that's going to be available as a bonus for you guys for these Launch Hacker resources. The second bonus is we're going to be doing a case study group with our Launch Accelerator Blueprint. So the Launch Accelerator Blueprint, as I mentioned, is based on our Launch Accelerator Blueprint process that we use. So this is the process that's allowed us to be really successful with not only our agency clients, but also our consulting clients. And this is the exact process that we used to raise over 7 million in successful pre-order launches. So this is where we're going to be as an opportunity for you to be involved with. And to qualify, you need to be launching a physical product within the next 8 months. And you need to be launching a B2C product. So it can't be a B2B product. It can't be like an app or a software or anything like that, or like a book. It has to be a B2C physical product. And really, if you fit those criteria, you're able to apply to this. And what we're looking to do is we're looking to take a few people onto this program and take you from the point of just concept to be able to raise, we say at least 30 to 50K pre-orders for your next launch. And the idea here is not just the results from the launch, but we really want to help you build the foundations for your brand, and having that community and that audience that's going to support your product launch or your brand as you're going. So if that sounds interesting to you, the link is coming up in a second, but we're accepting up to a maximum of 12 launch hackers in this program. So if that sounds interesting to you, or at this point, you're not exactly sure if your product is kind of the right fit or your category is the right fit, you can, we're offering a few calls. We call these the launch strategy sessions. So you can jump onto a call with us. You have to apply for this. Well, again, link is coming in a second. But applying for this and seeing if your product category is the right fit. So you can come have this conversation. We'll say, okay, let's look at the product. Let's look at the concept and see if this is the right fit. 100% free. But you have to apply and you have to fit the criteria of launching a product in the next 8 months, and it has to be a B2C product. So if it's a fit, if it's not a fit, 100% I will let you know, because we only want to accept people that are going to be able to do well in our program. But if it is a fit, you'll have an opportunity to join our case study program, along with a $2,000 scholarship discount, so that you can take advantage of joining the program. So so how do you access this? Both the bonuses are going to be accessed by the website here. I don't know, Kelsey, if you can put it up or anything like that, but this is the exact link, livemyplayground.com. So livemyplayground.com. If you go there, you'll have 2 buttons. One of them is the Launch Hacker Resources, and the second one is to apply either for the case study program if you want to jump into it right away, or if you just want the strategy session to see if your product category is a fit. Either way, if you apply for the second one, you're going to get the bonus in the first one, so you don't have to worry about doing both. You just have to do one. So that's it, and hopefully get to see you guys being interested in this model and potentially being a part of a program, or at least having a strategy session to see if your product category could be a fit for this type of launch model. So I think that's it for me. Why don't we jump into some Q&A?
All right. Yeah, we got filled up with questions, so we got lots to go with.
Exciting.
Yeah, so let me see. Probably one that a lot of people have is like a realistic kind of budget. So what kind of budget do you need to launch a crowdfunding campaign? Maybe like from the low ends, for those sellers that might not have the biggest budget, what can they expect?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And it really, I hate to give the it depends answer. It depends quite a bit on the product category. When it comes to comparing this to a traditional launch, you're going to look at some similar expenses. So everything that comes with product development, I'm going to assume that you're going to be doing this for any launch anyway. So this is not like a Kickstarter pre-order launch type of thing. So product development, that's going to be the same. when it comes to photos and videos and copy and that type of thing, if you're hiring for freelancers to work with your creative assets, that you're likely going to invest a little bit more with Kickstarter than you are with your, if you're just doing an Amazon launch with more simple photos. And the reason for this is you want to just invest in higher quality assets that's going to be representing your product and your brand really well. And also at the same time, to be able to, you're going to have these assets forever. So you're going to want to invest in something high quality that you can use when you move over to Amazon or you move over to Shopify. So whatever you're thinking of investing into your assets on Amazon, I would say at least 50%, at least maybe even 100% more than that in terms of for this bucket of costs. It depends, because sometimes people can get freelancers in different countries, or like, we have a lot of people hiring from Ukraine, where it's like they have really high quality work, but it's actually significantly cheaper than from North America or like Australia or Europe, wherever you're from. So yeah, that's going to be dependent on the quality of assets that you're investing in. But I would say that generally, if you're investing in assets, plan to invest a little bit more than you would for your Amazon launch. And the launch that's the cost that will be separate from this is investing in campaign-based ads. So you're going to invest a little bit in pre-launch ads for lead generation. We also have free approaches where you can start building your community, but we recommend at least allocating $500 to $1,000 for at least testing what that looks like for ads in advance to the campaign. And then during the campaign, you'll have the opportunity to run ads, and we highly recommend that. But that budget is going to be dependent on if the ads are working. So we just recommend having a budget available for ads, and if it's working, you want to dump like as much money as you can into it. So if it's if you're launching a campaign and your ads, you're putting $1 in, you're getting $5 back ROAS, you want to keep putting as much money as you can into that. So just the more capital they have, the better. But if the ads are not performing well and it's not going the way that you want, you don't have to put more money into ads. So that's not something that you have to dedicate 100% of time or 100% of a budget into, that you have to spend. So that's really going to be dependent on how the ads are going. So those are the main variables to consider. But in general, your most of your investment that's going to be different than launching on a platform like Amazon is investing in higher quality assets than with Amazon.
Okay, great. I also want to remind everyone, we're going to be doing a giveaway. Anyone who entered the Google Sheet is automatically entered into a 60-minute private consultation with Norm that we're going to be announcing at the end of the Q&A, so stick around for that. And also, let us know if there are any topics you want us to go over next. This is one of our first webinars or free training. So if there's something that you're looking to learn more about, let us know in the comment sections. We want to give this value to you guys, so just let us know in the comment sections, and we'll see what we can do. But next question is from Marcia. How long is the best amount of time from pre-order until product ships? How long do the customers expect?
Oh, this is a great question, Marcia. And so this is the best part about crowdfunding. You can set that time frame, and it's really dependent on your project. And if you have maybe a complex manufacturing process, you need to sort out some stuff in the back end, you can give a longer time frame. As long as you, within the Kickstarter launch campaign, you can actually specify when the product is going to be delivered. So sometimes it might be 4 months out, sometimes it might be 6 months out. It really doesn't matter a lot of the times, because these people just get excited about the product idea, as long as you're honest and you do your best to fulfill that. And if you're running late, or there's production delays or anything that's causing you to not meet your promised deadline, you would tell them. You're communicating with your customers on a regular basis. So this is the main thing. As long as you're honest about it and you're in communication, if you're not meeting those deadlines, then that's something that the customers are very happy with. Kickstarter customers are very understanding of this, because this is how the platform has always worked. So there's no set time. Obviously, the faster the better. But if it's really going to take you a little bit longer, I would overestimate instead of underestimate, and then just continue to communicate with your backers or your supporters, so that they know what your time frame is.
All right. Next question is from Claudia. Do people from all over the world back your product, or is it just the market you are selling in, US or Canada?
Amazing. Yeah, great question, Claudia. And so you have the option. So you can choose whether or not you want to sell to US only, to the rest of the world. It's entirely up to you. You can restrict the countries, or you can select specific countries. That's up to you. We generally recommend that if you're launching a product that you think can do well in different markets, at least sell to the big five countries. That would include US, Canada, Australia, UK, Germany. But now there's a lot of smaller markets that can actually have a lot of momentum as well. So there's a bit of logistics to work out on the back end for this, but we recommend selling to, if you're able to handle logistics, as many countries as possible. And maybe in the future you just want to sell on Amazon US, that's okay too. It's up to you. But for the campaign itself, if you're okay, as long as you're okay with fulfilling to certain countries, which that's a bit of another conversation on its own. It's not too complicated to be able to fulfill. If you're manufacturing in China, you can just actually ship out from China. We don't have to go into that, but the idea is you can control which countries you want to sell to. So that's entirely up to you.
Okay, great. Let me see. From Norman, do you have any demographics on the age range of Kickstarter buyers?
Yeah, that's a good question. In general, the age range is the last time I took a look at this report, maybe about 2 years ago. It was, I would say the age range is around like 25 to like 50 or 55, that range. It's actually a really wide range. It's just people that are interested in interesting new products and interested in supporting and buying products that are kind of interesting and unique or different. So it's generally a little bit skewed towards men, so slight skew towards men, but in that range. And people that are here's the interesting thing: your demographic doesn't necessarily have to be on Kickstarter, and that's not the point. The Kickstarter platform allows you to access a new audience, but really at the beginning, to be successful on Kickstarter, you're building your own community and you're bringing them to Kickstarter at that phase. That's the whole point of this kind of launch process, where you're building your own audience of passionate people, and then you have that momentum, and then the Kickstarter platform kind of comes in and does its work the same way that you would be building momentum on a launch on Amazon. So that's kind of how that would work. And yeah, so that's so that's the demographic that we found as kind of on Kickstarter. But there's lots of products that do really well outside of that. So we've seen like female products that are crazy successful, that are outside of that age range for maybe a little bit of younger audience. But it's really cool. There's lots of different products or categories that do well.
Okay, let's see. Next one is from Yanni. Okay, have you delegated your Facebook ads for those Kickstarter campaigns? If yes, who's helped you?
So yeah, that's a great question. If you're doing pre-launch stuff, you might be able to do it if you have some experience or you have like a freelancer that does this type of thing. But during the campaign itself, 100% we recommend using a Facebook ad agency that specializes in Kickstarter. So we have a recommendation, like we have a list of a bunch of these. But the benefit of this is that when you allocate when you delegate or when you hire these agencies to work with these campaigns, they have really strong they've worked on maybe like a dozen or hundreds of campaigns. They have very, very strong audiences for Facebook targeting. So no matter how good you are at running ads yourself, or you might have a friend that's like a Facebook ad whiz, they're not going to be able to have the same data that these other agencies have worked with dozens or hundreds of campaigns have. So you're going to want to delegate the in-campaign ads to one of these Facebook ad agencies that specialize specifically in Kickstarter.
Okay, this one I think is going to be one that I think a lot of sellers would have. I personally have this question too. Where do you go to build the prototype?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you're selling on Amazon and you've built a product, it's going to be the same approach of sourcing a product from maybe from China, if that's where you've had experience sourcing from. So obviously, depending on your product category, if you're maybe doing textiles, you might find like a manufacturer in Vietnam or even India nowadays. But really, the idea is you want to look for where your supplier is going to be. So with our glass product, we found a supplier in China that we really like to work with. Originally, it was actually a supplier that was working in our previous product that was making glass. So we found them originally through Alibaba, and that's how we developed the relationship. But it's going to be dependent on your category. So you're going to find a supplier that can create your category prototype. And obviously, every category product is going to be different. It's going to be different to be able to create a glass sample than it is going to be to create a towel, for example. So that's going to be dependent on your product category and where it makes sense to source that supplier.
Awesome. All right, from Claudia, is the price of shipping baked into the final sale price, or do you charge your backers shipping on top of the price of the product?
You can charge shipping on top, and that's completely okay. Backers are used to paying shipping, especially if they're not in the US. US, you can charge a little bit, or maybe you can. Actually, US backers are actually okay with like a small amount of shipping as well. And if it's a bigger, heavier product, they understand shipping costs. But other backers internationally are very, very comfortable with paying shipping fees. So you can actually charge shipping fees on top, and the platform allows you to allocate shipping fees depending on your destination country. So you can charge like, let's say $2, $5 in the US, and then you can charge $10 in Canada. You can choose what type of shipping rate you want to charge for each region.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. So from Andrew, we are ready to launch and have product. What time span would be realistic to launch on Kickstarter?
Um, if you're ready to launch, I'm assuming that ready to launch means your product is ready. And if that's the case, then building your community, at the minimum, we say allocating 2 months to that. And the time frame really depends on how much time you're investing and like how focused you are. Maybe you have multiple team members working on it, or if it's just yourself. So I'd say like 2 months is a reasonable time frame for building your audience. The campaign page and building assets and photos, videos, and that type of thing, that can take longer or shorter depending on who's working on it, or if you already have somebody that's a vendor that you like to work with already. That's something that usually happens in parallel, so you can build your audience and work on that at the same time. So I would say minimum 2 months, without knowing your specific situation and the details about where you're at with your product development and your assets. But shoot me a message, and sign up for apply for that call and see if we can understand your situation a little bit better, because I don't want to give a blanket answer. But yeah, generally for community development, 2 months, and for creating assets, at least a month or two, depending on if you have anything made already, or you have like a direction for those assets.
Okay. Speaking of contacting you, how would people go about contacting you?
Yeah, so the best way to reach out to me is actually through, if you want to have a conversation with me and talk about your product, is actually just go through the link that we talked about. You can also reach me at Vance at Live My Playground if you want to reach me directly. But if you're interested in having a conversation and kind of seeing if it's a fit to launch your product category, the best way is to go through that link that we have there, livemyplayground.com, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, awesome. Vance, how are you for time? We still have a couple questions, but
I'm
yeah.
I'm okay. I'm here.
Yeah?
I'm for it. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, from Marcia, what are your best ideas to add super value to the customers when we send their orders?
Ooh, okay, that's a great question. I don't know if it's the same Marsha from before, but good questions. So there's lots of things that you can do, and it's just up to your creativity. For example, with our coffee product that we launched, we created a kind of like education like video series. So we called it the Coffee Adventure Masterclass, and this is really cool because it allowed us to actually teach people that are purchasing the glasses how to make coffee in a way that's going to have the coffee better, how to appreciate the coffee in a way that's going to be it's going to make it smell better and taste better. All these types of interesting things that we were able to teach the customer so that they can actually use the product better, and then they can actually share a lot more with their friends. So it's an interesting thing that allows us to not only help the customer, but also encourage them to be more excited about the product, and that they can spread the word as well. But people have done things like stickers and decals, or like they've added some peripheral accessories that make sense with their product category. So if it's like a certain product that you have, and there's an accessory that makes sense, or there's something that makes sense to use with that product, sometimes you can include that as an add-on. Maybe you can even sell it if it makes sense, like as an add-on. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give it away for free. You can kind of do interesting things to sell. If some people like that, we've seen a lot of campaigns where like they'll sell the base thing, like a phone case or something like that. With that example of the company I showed earlier called Peak Design, they sold the phone case, and every single accessory costs like $10 or like $20, and people were just buying it up like crazy. They did like $1 million out of that campaign at least. So yeah, you don't have to necessarily sell stuff, sort of give stuff away to add value. You can actually create value by creating accessories that people want, and they could pay for it as well. But yeah, lots of cool ideas. It's up to you, excuse me, on how you want to build your brand and how you want to get people excited. So usually offering things that get people more excited about your product and your brand is that kind of direction that you want to go. So Hope that helps. Is that
Yeah, that's
yeah?
perfect. To go to your point, Vance, I was able to get a hold of one of Vance's products, the coffee glasses, and I'm part of the newsletter. And I have to say, those newsletters that he was sending, those mastermind, um, I I read every single email. I follow along with the videos, and I just find it is truly like it's a value added thing, and it's just a simple email with a video explaining how to do it. So if you can work that into your product, Marcia, I think that would be great. If you're hitting your demographic and the right audience, they're going to find value in it. Um, and yeah, if you want to check it out, I actually put the link here too. If you want to check out Vance's product. Okay, a couple more questions left from Norman. Do you have any strategies for vetting a product idea prior to launching a crowdfunding campaign?
Yes, definitely. So we go into this in a lot of detail in our program, and we like to do this along with building an audience. So why it's awesome. It's really important that you're asking about product validation, because a lot of people are just they're thinking, okay, I want to launch this product. I'm just going to go ahead and launch it because I think it's a great idea. Validation is really important, and we really encourage this. So as a part of our program, we have this process that we go through in not only validating our product, but building the community of people that's going to be supporting our product launch at the same time. But the general idea is to actually get feedback from real customers. This is not putting it up on PickFu to see if people like the photo or not. This is actually engaging with real customers that are in your target audience to connect with them and say, hey, what do you think about this product? And yeah, this can be like an hour or 2 hour long conversation, but the high level is really connecting with real customers and getting feedback from customers that are actually a part of your target audience, rather than your uncle or your dad or your spouse. Those people are just going to give you good feedback. You don't necessarily want good feedback. You want the right feedback from your target audience. So that's one of the most. I'm really happy you asked about this, because this is one of the most important things, is that we want to make sure that people want the product that we're selling. But not only that, even if they want the product, sometimes we actually don't know how to sell the product. We don't know the best way to present or market the product, because we think that maybe this bottle has like 5 or 6 different features. We think the most important feature is the lid, for example. But maybe when we talk to our customers, they like the product, but they don't think the lid is the most important feature, and they think it's maybe the materials, or the way it can keep it hot or cold or whatever it might be. And we want to know this, because if we're going to invest money into creating the assets, running ads, like all the stuff that's going to allow us to sell the product better, we want to make sure that we get feedback from customers to make sure that we can sell the product in the best way possible that's appealing to them, not what we think. So product validation, super important, and that helps us with one of the things we talked about in the presentation today, which is allows us to position our product better, because we understand how our customers want the product being sold to them. So I think that's an amazing question, and yeah, that's the high level answer, is to connect with your customers. And
Okay. Great. Let me see. Just a couple more left from Nick's stuff. The way I understand it, you need a sizable marketing campaign to let people know you have a Kickstarter campaign. Can you elaborate on that? What's a reasonable ROAS for such a campaign?
this really depends on your category. A lot of the methods that we recommend to build your audience with the lab approach is free. So we have people in the program. I think Victor was commenting earlier in the chat. Victor's one of the people in our program right now, and he's built his entire audience right now. He's built a massive Facebook group of about I think at least 1,100 people at this point that are in his cat niche, and he's done this all for free. So this is following our approaches of building community with the most kind of organic way possible. So it's not always about money. It's not always about spending money on ads and ROAS. There's a lot of ways where you can connect with your target audience for free. And of course, we want to spend money on ads later on. But I really like to get back to kind of like, how do we build businesses with connecting with our audience and connecting with people, and do it in a way that involves them and engages them and gets them excited to participate. And a lot of these things, like I said, with Victor's example, 1,100 people in his Facebook group so far in the cat niche, 100% free, has not spent $1 on building that audience. So lots of ways to kind of dive into doing that. And I think that's we highly recommend doing those approaches first rather than jumping into ads and talking about ROAS during the campaign, because the pre-launch preparation before going into the campaign is what you need. Like if you're going into the campaign and you haven't done that community building, you might not even, people might come to the page and just don't even want to buy it because it doesn't look credible. You didn't get your own community excited enough to want to buy this in advance, so that it doesn't show the results of people having purchased the product, so that there's credibility around the product when people see it. So a lot of factors, but mostly I would say focus on free approaches where you're directly engaging and connecting with the customer, and the stuff about ads later on. You're going to want to invest in ads, but this is going to be secondary because there's a lot of opportunities to build your community for free.
All right, and let me see from Yanni. This goes back to the Facebook ads. How much do they charge? What's the tacos for it?
For the agencies.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. The agencies, generally the ones we would recommend are commission based. So actually, they don't charge you a retainer. There are ones that will charge you a retainer, but we don't recommend those ones. There's a few, quite a few in this kind of like spectrum of crowdfunding agencies that do ads. But the ones that we recommend, generally, they don't charge you a retainer. They'll just charge you a performance, essentially like a performance commission on the ads that end up bringing in revenue. So we really like those guys.
Okay, and I think our last question is from Andrew. Vance, do you have a done for you service? Yeah.
That's not our primary service right now. We did done for you before. Now we have the group coaching program, and in some instances we might, we mostly work with like a done with you, and we have the group coaching program as well. But get in touch and let's see what you're looking for. Let's see what you're needing, and let's see kind of your personal circumstance, and we can we kind of explore from there.
Okay, so we do have a giveaway today that we can jump into now. But I also want to mention this is one of our first webinars, our first training. So I do want to say thank you to Vance. You guys don't know it, but Vance has been just a crucial part in helping us set this up. He's been incredibly helpful and giving us his resources. So I do want to say thank you to Vance, and definitely take him up on those resources. Check out livemyplayground.com. We dropped the link before, but we're going to be posting it again. That's where you can find all the resources. And also let us know how you enjoyed today's webinar. We'd like your feedback. We're going to be sending out an email for those that sign up already, but I think I'm going to include a little survey to see if the topics you guys would want to talk about next. And if there's anything that we could improve on, let us know. That would be awesome. So I'll drop that link one more time. Check it out, and we can jump into the giveaway. So yes, thank you, Marcia, Hank, Christine. Let me see, Andrew, awesome. Great to see everyone in the comments, Nick. And yeah, so we had, I think, over 85 entries for the giveaway. So let me just, I think because this is the Lunch with Norm, a webinar, we have to do the Wheel of Kelsey. So you guys go. If this is your first time listening to the Wheel of Kelsey, maybe turn down the volume a little bit and enjoy, everyone.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right, so we're going to give this a spin. This is anyone that signed up for our Google Sheets. And yeah, you'll get entered to win a 60-minute consultation, or you'll win a 60-minute private consultation with Norm, aka the Beard Guy. And let's see who the winner is. No, I'll have to check.
I have a feeling this might be a little bit rigged.
That's insane. That was our test for the Google Sheet. So let's run that again. Oh, that's funny. All right. It looks like Chuck B, you are the winner. We're going to reach out to you, and congratulations. You won a 60-minute consultation with Norm. He doesn't do that very often, and I had to kind of twist his arm with that. So congratulations on that. And thanks so much for listening, everyone. That's amazing. And yeah, anything else to say, Vance, before we get going?
Well, no, thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone who attended. This is really a lot of fun, and I would say just kind of get creative. Like we're building businesses. This is exciting. We're launching products. We're launching brands. Kind of think outside the box and see how you can explore and do something that's a little bit different that allows you to build something sustainable. So we love the idea of building an audience, building community, building a brand, and whatever it takes for you to kind of get excited about that. That's really what's going to allow you to build a sustainable business. So yeah, really excited to see if I can help some of you along your journey. But either way, thank you for having me, and yeah, a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll do something like this again.
Okay, awesome. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to be doing these webinars hopefully monthly, bringing on topics that you guys want and enjoy. And have a great rest of your weekend, everyone, and we'll see you later.